When she's ready, we're ready to hear it. So, I debated, deliberated long and strong about how to handle this today because we have this, we have this thing on the right. We tend to fall into sometimes this Borg-like mentality where, we have to jump into one camp or another camp rather than just digesting what people say and thinking for ourselves. Well, we think for ourselves here because you're the smartest audience in the business, and I don't care what anybody says. I do what I want because it's my show. It's not an accident that they found the guy by the name of Dan Bongino to host the Dan Bongino show. It's my show. We do what I want. Here's what I'm getting at. Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani did a press conference yesterday, and there was some really big and bold allegations thrown out there of a large conspiracy to overthrow the results of the 2020 election. There was a lot of stuff in there yesterday. Tucker Carlson covered it on his show last night. Sidney Powell was one of the attorneys. You're all familiar with Sidney. I've had her on the show. She was General Mike Flynn's lawyer. She's now working for the Trump team and made a really serious boatload of allegations yesterday. So Tucker Carlson went on last night and said, listen, I invited her on the show. These are some bold claims, and we're going to address what happened on both sides. I'm going to give you Sidney Powell's response in a second. But we need to get to the facts here and not get into like who said what, who says. It's not about teams. It's about what happened. It's no time for personality wars. So check out the Tucker coverage of the press conference that generated all kinds of controversy last night. Here's part one.
All of which brings us to the bombshell at the center of today's press conference. That was delivered by former prosecutor Sidney Powell, who has also served as General Mike Flynn's lawyer. For more than a week, Powell has been all over conservative media with the following story. This election was stolen by a collection of international leftists who manipulated vote tabulating software in order to flip millions of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. The other day on television, Powell said of Trump that when the fraud is finally uncovered, quote, I think we'll find he had at least 80 million votes. In other words, rigged software stole about 7 million votes in this election. Here's some of what Powell said today about the software.
One of its most characteristic features is its ability to flip votes. It can set and run an algorithm that probably ran all over the country to take a certain percentage of votes from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered had the votes for President Trump not been so overwhelming in so many of these states that it broke the algorithm that had been plugged into the system. And that's what caused them to have to shut down in the states they shut down in.
Whoa. Think about that. So Sidney Powell is alleging there at the presser yesterday that there was an algorithm built into the voting system in many states. An algorithm basically preset, maybe figuring, I'm trying to kind of sum this up in an easy to understand way, that, Trump may win by 1 percentage point, so we'll have to flip this many votes, but that Trump's turnout and his vote count was so high and he did so well that it broke the algorithm. There was a last minute panic to get votes in and mess with the algorithm at the last minute. That panic caused them to get careless, and that's how they discovered it. That's kind of, in essence, what she's alleging there. Make sense? That's an enormous allegation. Obviously, that allegation would be, as was described by Tucker in this cut I'm going to play next, probably accurately so, as the crime of the century. I've spoken to Sidney Powell. I know Sidney Powell well. I know Sidney Powell in personally and professionally throughout our time, and I've known Sidney for a long time. Sidney hasn't disappointed us yet. Does she have the data to back this up in court? We're going to find that out. The question now is, does she owe it to anyone, including people on television? She doesn't owe it to anybody. She owes it to the courts to produce that evidence in court if she can back it up. But it's not automatically illegitimate because it wasn't produced for a host on any show, this show, Tucker's show, or anyone else. Well, apparently Tucker Carlson invited her on the show, Sidney Powell, and she didn't want to come on. So again, this was part two. This is the part that generated, that was the allegation part where Tucker put it out there. This is the part of Tucker's show that's generating a whole lot of this social media back and forth today, which candidly I think is a distraction. We have to keep our eyes on the prize, folks. Check this out.
We took Sidney Powell seriously. We had no intention of fighting with her. We've always respected her work. We simply wanted to see the details. How could you not want to see them? So we invited Sidney Powell on the show. We would have given her the whole hour. We would have given her the entire week, actually, and listened quietly the whole time at rapt attention. That's a big story. But she never sent us any evidence, despite a lot of requests, polite requests, not a page. When we kept pressing, she got angry and told us to stop contacting her. When we checked with others around the Trump campaign, people in positions of authority, they told us Powell has never given them any evidence either, nor did she provide any today at the press conference. Powell did say that electronic voting is dangerous, and she's right. We're with her there. But she never demonstrated that a single actual vote was moved illegitimately by software from one candidate to another. Not one.
Sidney Powell disputes that. We're going to play her side of this in a moment. But folks, let me add my 2 cents here for what it's worth. My opinion, you can choose to run with it, discard it, whatever you choose. But this is my opinion. I just want to be crystal clear. Sidney Powell owes it to us in the court system when Sidney Powell is good and damn ready. If she feels she has a case, she has no obligation whatsoever to make that case on cable news or elsewhere. None. Not on this show or anyone else's show. And if she doesn't have a case, then it's her reputation on the line. She'll have to live with that. But she doesn't owe it to me, Tucker, Fox News, the Dan Bongino Show, CNN, MSNBC, or anyone else. She owes it to the voters. She owes it to the court system if she's going to file a case. And if not, and it turns out that information is inaccurate, then she should retract it later. But if it's not inaccurate, and she has evidence to back that up, then maybe we should give her a little bit of space. I know we're running out of time. I get it. December 8th is the safe harbor date where the states are going to have to certify for their December 14th deadline to announce their electors for whoever won the popular vote within those states and their presidential electors. I get that. But if she has a case, she owes it to the courts to put that case out there. She doesn't owe it to us. I want to be crystal clear on that. That's not me taking anybody's side. That's me telling you what the damn facts are here, and they matter. Let's keep our eyes on what's going on here. These are serious allegations. Now, Sidney Powell appeared this morning. That was from last night. Appeared this morning on Maria Bartiromo's show on Fox and gave her response to the allegations by Tucker Carlson. Here was what Sidney Powell told, Maria Bartiromo. Check this out.
All right, Sydney, I want you to respond to what Tucker Carlson said last night, Sydney. I don't know if you watched it, but Tucker Carlson said that he had invited you on his show to share evidence of the software flipping votes, and he said you got angry and refused to provide evidence for your claims of voting software flipping votes. How do you respond to Tucker Carlson? Did you get angry with the show because they texted you and asked you to please provide evidence of what you're alleging?
No, I didn't get angry with the request to provide evidence. In fact, I sent an affidavit to Tucker that I had not even attached to a pleading yet to help him understand the situation. And I offered him another witness who could explain the mathematics and statistical evidence far better than I can. I'm not really a numbers person. But he was very insulting, demanding, and rude, and I told him not to contact me again in those terms.
Clearly, both of those stories can't be true, right? Either one side of it that no evidence was presented is true, or the other side of it where evidence was presented is true. But those two, they can't coexist at the same time. We'll see where that goes. But I want to encourage you, before I move on to, again, more facts and data here, keep your eyes on the prize, and let's not get distracted by making stories about what these stories aren't about. These stories are about the most important election in our lifetime. And if there was significant enough fraud or malfeasance to question the results we have now, that is the question. That is the only question that matters. When she's ready, we're ready to hear it.
You just heard Dan Bongino.